Hey everybody, it's Ryan from Pi Records, and I'm here with Bob Dalley from the Surf Raiders. How are you?
I'm fine. Nice to be talking to you, Ryan.
Yeah, it's very nice. I've been looking forward to meeting with you. I've been listening to your music from the Surf Raiders, and I'm just blown away by how intense it is. The song Surf Raider. I mean, I just love how you incorporate the chords in with the melody. Um, you want to tell me a little bit about where you got started doing this?
Okay, well, originally I first discovered surf music back in 1963 when I was just started in high school. I moved from another city. Going to high school, I went to a freshman howdy hop, and there was a band called the Victors there, and they were playing Baja. The lead guitar player was using a steel guitar, and it just blew me away. I thought, this is great. And home and told my dad about it, and we didn't have a radio. We didn't even have our own radio. So he got us, he repaired TVs and stuff. So he got us a radio, and we started flipping around on it. And I found KFWB, and the song Pipeline was playing. And I was taken into surf music, hook, line, and sinker at that very moment.
Yeah.
So that's my introduction into surf music. And I spent the next couple of years just learning. I got to learn how to play guitar. So it was the whole point of acoustic guitar, finally buying a $60 pawn shop Japanese guitar and a homemade amplifier, and then going through the whole steps with getting them together, and which included my brother, Doug. And that's how it all started. But as time went by, the surf music kind of went by the way, and so we got caught up in all the other stuff. But I never lost the desire to play music.
Of course, Dick Dale has been going, continue the tradition throughout the 90s and the early 2000s. I can hear some of the ventures in Dick Dale in your music, the strumming and picking in particular. Have you been following the transition in Dick Dale's music all along?
Yeah, I'd gotten some of his records at the beginning. I mean, I was one of the songs I was trying to learn was the Wedge at that time. I mean, I got Challenger albums, the Lively Ones,
Yeah.
and, challenge like that. And I was just trying to learn. I didn't have guitar lessons, and so I was just trying to learn the best I could by ear.
Yeah.
And and the thing is, at that time, I didn't know about all of the surf bands.
Yeah.
Up to that point, I mean, I knew Dick Dale, but I didn't know about Eddie and the Showmen and the Bel Airs and all the other great Dave Myers and the Surf Tones. I didn't know about those guys until the 1980s.
Yeah. Those the Bel Airs are incredible. They must have when you first heard them, they must have knocked your socks off.
Yeah, well, the whole thing about them. See, when I started interviewing everybody in 1980, that I wanted to find out how the bands got their surf tones, how they set their controls, what did it take to make that perfect surf sound. And so I started finding. First person I found was Jim Pasha, the Safaris. He only lived like 3 miles from me up here or down there in California. And so I interviewed him, talked to him. It was great. He was very helpful. I even asked him to join my band. And but then he decided he was going to restart the Safaris. So that's where that went.
There's a lot going on in that Safaris camp.
Uh-huh. But that's just how it went. Then I found the Chantays, then I found the Lively one. I'm a genealogist, and so I'm very good at finding people and doing things like that. So for that 10 years, from 1980, the whole time the band was playing, I was interviewing people, and that's when I decided to make it into a book. But then the Surf Raiders, what happened was 1979, I heard the Surf Punks do My Beach. And I thought, hey, that'd be kind of fun to have a surf band again. And so, but I didn't have a guitar or anything at that time. My dad came over one day. He found this 1930-something Gibson and amplifier out at
Wow.
the trash can at somebody's house. And so he asked me if I wanted it. So he brought it over and I used that for a little bit, but then I wound up selling it. And I was able to get a Stratocaster, a reverb unit, and a dual showman out of that. And I put ads in the papers, LA papers, local papers, and advertising for people who were interested in surf band. And I found one guy from Covina near me, it was Steve, and I found the drummer Dave from San Gabriel. And the first thing he asked me, he said, "Do you have to be blonde haired and blue eyed to be in the band?" I said, "I know." I said, "No, if you can play drums." And then Lloyd Davis came in and played bass, even though he was probably a better lead guitar player than me, but he chose to play bass. And every Sunday from that 1980, we started practicing, learning the songs. I would make a cassette tape of the songs and everybody take them home and practice. And then we'd have a practice, and we recorded some of those practices, which I'm happy because, you know, it was fun to go back and listen to the songs
Yeah.
and listen to the sound develop. And eventually the Steve Tanner, the rhythm player, he had to move. And so that's when I managed to get Neil Couzet on guitar. I met him through record collecting. And boy, talk about the things starting off. And he knew a sax player. So here we were, full surf band with sax player, practicing and playing. We played it, I think one of our first gigs was at the Ice House in Pasadena. And we went well. I mean, every place we played, there were a lot of people. It wasn't just one person standing out on the dance floor listening to us. So it just progressed from there. We started getting more places to play. We wound up playing some really great gigs at Knott's Berry Farm and the Whiskey A Go Go,
Oh, wow.
and most of the clubs there in LA. And we were also getting some great jobs at parties, playing at parties. We're playing around the swimming pool and stuff like that.
That's amazing. It sounds like it went from one stage of the band where you're in the garage to very quickly going out and playing in like the Whiskey,
Right.
getting a full band together. Was it pretty fast for you?
It seemed like it, right? The first few, it was kind of slow, but after that, we just seemed to click. And then I just sent everybody a tape. We do a sound check at the place we're playing. We learn the song, learn new songs that way and played them that night.
Wow.
But everybody was an experienced musician.
Yeah.
And so that was a big help.
That's awesome. That's such a great story. Tell me a little bit about the book you mentioned.
Okay, well, this book I called Surfing Guitars, Instrumental Surf Bands of the 60s. And I spent 10 years on it before the first edition came out in 1988. And I had interviewed these people, transcribed the tapes. Most cases I had got Xerox copies of, flyers and stuff like that, record labels, album covers. And I would make copies of the pictures and stuff. I mean, by the time I got done, I think I was like 49 bands in the first book.
That's great.
And it had errors. I mean, I didn't have anybody to check it. A lot of misspellings and stuff like that. It was just the raw manuscript that I laid out on an IBM Silicon. But it was popular. When people found out about it, I mean, I had 2,600 copies printed and sold all of them.
It's really, for me, it's really enjoyable being a guitar player, interviewing other musicians, because you even if you're not professional, you kind of speak the same language. Did you feel the same way when you were doing the interviews?
Yes, I was, and a lot of them wondered why I was doing it. Why would anybody be interested in listening to the story of an old man about something he did as a teenager? But they've come to all accept it and think it was great. In fact, a lot of of early surf bands reunited in the 80s, like the Tornadoes and Shantays and the Lively Ones, all came back and started playing again, which was great.
So, well, what sparked that? Was it just initial curiosity that sparked your interest to interview these people? Did you come up with it, say, I want to document this, or like, what was your inspiration to go and do this book?
Well, like I said, I wanted to find out how they played the songs, what equipment they used, what were the settings, all that kind of stuff. And one after another, their stories were kind of the same, but not. You found out something new from each set of people and their circumstances, how they got together. Especially the Shanties, they were only when they did Pipeline, they were still in high school. So, I gained a lot of inspiration from them that, hey, I can do this. My band, when we decided to call it the Surf Raiders, we could do this. And because I thought, that's a pretty good name.
Yeah.
And then when we decided to cut our first album, I happened to find a guy in West Covina who said, well, bring your band and let's record you and see how you sound. So we laid down the songs that became our first album, which I named Raiders of the Lost Surf. And that was a popular title. In fact, I had a couple of bands want to buy it from me.
Really?
For theirs. Yeah.
Wow.
So, but
it
turned out to be
great
really
album.
Nice. The guy who put it out had it done in powder blue marble with white swirls.
Wow.
And then the second printing was clear blue, clear see-through blue.
What year was that?
And so we sold 2,000 copies of that. That was 1982.
Wow. To get a marble variant in 1982 must have been pretty special.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he had it done at Rainbow Records, who's not around anymore, but they did some great stuff. We, on our own, re-released about 7 singles of songs from the recording session and some from the garage that we taped ourselves. And Moxie Records put out an EP on us, and it was we were getting stuff out, which was good. We were being played a lot on college radios. Those were the easiest ones to get on because the regular stations didn't get it, but the college stations kids did. So we were always doing that. My wife and I go down for the interviews. We'd be on the show, but I'd also bring a whole box of records of unknown surf 45s that nobody had ever heard before. And so that kind of made me popular there too, because I put these records on and talk about them, and they're hearing stuff that nobody heard before.
Yeah, but it's cool when you I don't know, when I was younger and you say, hey, listen to this band, and your friends get all excited about it, and then they show you a band, they get all excited about it. You get all excited about it. That must have been quite a party when you're showing up and everybody's liking the music.
Right. And when I was doing the book, I remember I was interviewing Eddie Bertrand from Eddie and the Showman and the Bel Airs. And we'd happened to play at Knott's Berry Farm live and recorded it. And one of the better songs that turned out was the song called Scratch that Eddie and the Showman did and the Venture did. And so I asked him if he would like to hear it. So I played it, and he actually thought I had found a recording of his band, Eddie and the Showman.
Oh, wow. That's insane.
So that was, you just did things like that. You just, you talk to each other, you right away know what to ask. And I made a lot of good friends. A lot of good friends with these surf bands. I went to Dick Dale's house and interviewed him there, which is pretty cool. But the first time we opened for him, I used a Jaguar guitar, and he always got on my case about not using a Strat.
I figured he would.
But see, at the Jaguar, it was the Lively Ones used it. A lot of those groups used the Jaguar. There was a few challengers used the Strat, but for the little ones, the live or the astronauts, when I got their first album, wow, that was the sound you're looking for, was the astronauts.
So in your interview, when you find that sound the astronauts had, can you describe what they did to get that sound?
Well, number one, Richard Fifield was a fantastic guitar player originally, but just hooking up to a Showman through a dual Showman through a Fender Reverb, and he used the Jazzmaster. He didn't really do anything special. It's just, that's how it came out when he played it through that equipment. And that's what, I believe that, the Fender equipment had a lot to do with the sound, with the reverb, as well as the Jaguar Jazzmaster. I mean, you can play surf music on a Telecaster, but it's just not quite the same as a Jaguar.
Yeah, it's a little bit more twangy.
And you get those big, thick, flat wound strings on it and kind of mute it, and you just get that reverb splashing, and it just sends chills up your back when you hear it.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I listen to a lot of the internet. I listen to a lot of bands on the internet radios, and my goodness, there are some great bands out there now.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's still going, from 1980, and it kind of slowed down in 1989, then Pulp Fiction came out with Dick Dale and all that, and it started it over again, and it's never stopped. It's just getting bigger, more international, and you hear more variations of the surf sound. And there's some that are still true to the right sound, but some take a little, go out of the box of it. And it's great. I mean, I'm 72 years old now, and I was doing all this when I started the Surf Raiders at 30.
Wow. Well, go ahead, sir.
Go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off. Okay. Well, the flat wound strings, I was talking to somebody today. It's very specific, and usually you use a heavier gauge, correct?
Right. 10 or 12. I think it goes higher, but I was using 12s for the longest time.
And your fingers bled, right?
Well, not as bad as they used to do on the other strings. I mean,
Really?
they were flat wound. Yeah. But after a while, my fingers were so, calloused and built up.
Yeah.
That I had no problem doing the runs and, the chords and leads and stuff like that. I had no problem with it.
So you're saying it's easier to play on the flat wound strings? I've never played on them.
Well, for me, to get the sound, yeah. The sound, the flat wounds on the Jaguar, through the reverb, through the twin dual Showman, that was the sound. Now, some people are good; they can do it with the Gibson. Run the Gibson through the amplifier, or they even just Gibson all the way. It just depends. Some people couldn't afford Fender stuff. I mean, my first amp was a Silvertone.
That one I don't know.
The amplifier?
Yeah.
That was a Sears. Sears came out with a guitar that was like a Dan Electro, and then they had their amplifiers. One was 6 10-inch speakers, which I had, or 2 12s, but it had the reverb. They looked like a Showman, and that was a great first amp.
My first guitar was a Sears guitar. Yeah, I got it for Christmas one year, and I went right down in the basement and put the cassette player on and started learning songs right away. There's just something magical about getting that first one.
Yeah, the first guitar I had was a 1964 Tedesco, Japanese. It was a Tesco.
Yeah.
Three pickups, and that was my first guitar. I paid $65 for it out of the last of my paper route money.
That's how we did it. That's how we worked all summer and we got our guitars, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I want to know a little bit more about your interviewing. Are you're a genealogist, but did that did that sprout out of kind of your interest for just being curious?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I was finding these people from the record labels or the albums with the names of the bands and stuff. And like with Jim Pash, through Jim Pash, I found the other guys in the Safaris. And then they mentioned somebody, and I go find them. And the Shantays, same thing. I talked to Bob Spicker of the Shantays, and he got me a hold of everybody else in the band. And then he says, "Well, have you heard Tracy Longstreth and the Rhythm Rockers and stuff?" Well, no. And he'd help me get those guys. And it just snowballed. It just kept going and going and going.
So what was the first thing, the first reverb tank that you got? Because I'm curious, because when I started playing guitar in the 80s, I went to a lot of different music stores to find the guitar that I wanted, that I saw on the TV that all my favorite bands were playing. And I grew up with my family playing, my uncles playing surf music, and I could not find reverb anywhere. Now, I'm not a surf player, but I'd never seen them until I began seeing these old videos of these bands playing live.
Right. Well, in 1980, when I was putting all the equipment together, I was looking for a Fender reverb. And one day in Azusa newspaper, I found a classified ad. A guy had a Fender reverb that he got when he went into the Army, or he bought it and then he used it and went into the Army. So it sat in the closet all the whole time he was in the Army and everything. And now he had no need for it. And he sold it to me for $100.
Oh,
A brand new 1961 Fender reverb unit.
wow.
Still had the papers, the cover, the hang tags, the whole bit for $100. So I thought I did pretty good there.
Yeah.
And as far as I bought a dual Showman cabinet that had no speakers, I bought some good speakers to put in it, and had my bass player redo the head. And so then I had my dual Showman, and at first I had the Stratocaster, and I saw an ad where some guy was wanting to trade a Jaguar for a Stratocaster. So we meet up in a parking lot somewhere. It's a 1962 brand new Jaguar, never been played. And he wanted the Strat. So we just traded it straight across. So that first group of instruments that I had was fantastic. I got everything that I needed.
And that's how a lot of people get it done. I traded an old Telly for a Strat. We met in a parking lot, and the guy strummed it, liked the action on it. I took mine home and modified it, and that's how a lot of musicians get it done, I think.
Right, exactly. I mean, nowadays your Fender has the Squier guitars that a lot of guitarists think are really great. I mean, they get them to do some mods on them, change the bridge or this and that, and they're happier with it than they would be.
Yeah. I would think the electronics aren't much different.
No, I don't think so. And it's also, they're built somewhere else, some some in Mexico, some in Japan. They're built somewhere else and put together. And there's those people who want the vintage. There must be an American made one.
Yeah.
And but it just depends on you. It depends on the guitar player, the one that's playing the music, on what's going to work for him or not.
Right. Now, are you still playing the Jag?
I have well, when I wanted to publish the book, I couldn't get a book a dealer or anybody interested in publishing it. So I took my record collection, which was pretty big, my surf record collection, auctioned it all off.
Oh,
I sold
wow.
the amplifier, sold the guitar, sold the reverb unit to come up with the cash to have a place to print it.
Wow.
Okay. So, of course, I was sorry afterwards, but it got me the book. It got me started, even though a lot of the reviews said, there was a lot of errors and stuff like that. But the material in the book was good. They liked the pictures. They liked the flyers. They liked all that stuff to go with it, where you could be reading, look over on the next page and see. And then I was doing the discographies of all their records, of the albums and the reissues and all that stuff, which made it a really good reference book. And what's even funnier is that when the book came out, a lot of the guys in the bands in the book were getting phone calls from people wanting to know if they still had their original equipment and if they could buy it from them.
Awesome. So it took you 10 years to put this book out, to write and release the book. What do you think you personally, out of all the people you talked to and all the time and effort you put into it, what was the greatest thing you got out of it?
Well, I was thinking to myself, why should I only be privy to all this information and everything? And I wanted to share it with everybody, so they wouldn't have to go through what I did. Maybe go back and find the guys, re-interview them, this and that. Let's make this the Bible of surf music, the reference of surf music. And that's what I got out of it. Sure, it made some money, but the thing is, I wasn't doing it for the money. I wasn't even playing surf music for the money. I was playing for it because I wanted to be up on stage and watch people dancing out there, dancing to Surf Beat or Miserlou or, stuff like that. That's what I was enjoying.
Yeah, just the experience itself.
Yes.
So what are you doing right now? What is it looks like on iTunes you're reissuing a lot of the albums. Is that true?
Well, what I did, back in 2016, I took and I digitized all our stuff. I had it digitized. And I put together a new Raiders of the Lost Surf, a new Surf Down, a new On the Beach. And then I did our greatest hits and, a couple other things like that. And I thought it'd just be nice to have them, sell them on, eBay, Facebook, stuff like that. And, and it worked great, all that time. But then recently, Amazon, which did a print on demand, said they were going to not do it anymore. And I was wondering, oh boy, what am I going to do? Well, I happened to be contacted through Facebook from Green Cookie Records in Greece.
Yep.
And he wanted to reissue our first two albums on CD, an official release.
Yeah.
And, I thought, why? But after talking to him and his excitement, how excited he was, how we could be brought to a whole new audience and everything else, I said, okay. So I went through the whole process of giving him, the imaging and the waves to those first two albums and getting it to him. And then I think it was in March, he released them. And that's how I wound up getting involved in Bandcamp, because I wanted to put them somewhere where people could get them, download them and stuff.
Yeah.
And that worked out great. I mean, I was sending, copies to radio stations and stuff. And then all of a sudden the Surf Raiders are getting all this new airplay that we didn't have, 30, 40 years ago, which was great. And so I just kind of kept our name and pictures and music alive on Facebook, just to keep people excited about the Surf Raiders. And it seemed to work.
You guys were no joke, though, man. You guys could play your instruments well.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, when we couldn't find another sax player, we actually had my wife Linda join the band on keyboards,
Oh, wow.
playing the saxophone lead.
Yeah. Oh,
And
okay.
then she wound up adding more and more onto the songs. It kind of changed our sound, but we were one of the very rare bands that had a female in the band.
Yeah.
You know, and there was only maybe a couple of women in surf music in the first wave, and I don't remember anybody besides my wife in the second. And then like on the third and stuff, but then all of a sudden you start seeing a lot of female bass players,
Yeah.
female organ players, and now it's crazy. I mean, there's almost all new band comes out at least one or two women in the band.
Have you heard the Surferjettes?
Yes, I saw them
They are
a
so
couple of
good.
years ago at a Surf Guitar 101 thing they used to have until COVID hit. I
Yeah.
met them there.
They're no joke. Like they're really good. They have a one thing I saw recently is they did a cover of a Britney Spears album or song,
Right.
Toxic.
Right.
And
Right.
I remember my kids used to listen to that song, and it was like note for note. There was nothing missing, and they were like, I don't know, it was just stellar, like their performance, and I was really excited when I heard it. So well, what's up next? Are you planning anything new? Are you just taking it easy, and are you back
Well,
playing like after the COVID and everything?
well, I'll tell you this. Back last year, I started formulating something that I wanted to do about the Surf Raiders, not necessarily the Surf Raiders, but about the Surf Raiders. And so I put this list together of all the Surf Raiders original material,
Okay.
which turned out to be 17 songs. And I wanted an even 18, so I took one of our songs that we used to play that we called The Ranch, but it was actually Free Fall. And I made this list of all those songs. The next, I went and I started writing down band names, people that I thought might cover these songs.
Yeah.
Like the insect surfers and eliminators, and bands from my era, and then the Neptunus and
Yeah.
things like that. And some people. Then I started realizing, well, I'm going to have to go out and try to get some of these newer bands doing it, which I did. In fact, I had to, once it got out that I was doing this, I had to turn bands away. I felt so bad that, there are these great bands coming in, and I'd already filled all the slots for all the songs. And so anyway, all the bands on their own expense and own time went into their studios or whatever and recorded an original Surf Raider song.
Wow.
And I finally got all the songs together a little while ago. I had it mastered by Klein.
Dave Klein. Yeah.
And Green Cookie Records wanted to put it out. So right now, Friday on Bandcamp starts the pre-sale on Walkin', the tribute to the Surf Raiders.
Wait, say that name again.
So that's Wave Walkin'.
Okay.
A tribute to the Surf Raiders.
Awesome. Wow, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it is to me, because I never thought I would be able to pull it off.
Yeah.
And the bands that are playing on it are so excited about it. I mean, Messer Chups are on it.
Oh, wow.
Voodoo Surf. From UK. I'm trying to remember the last part. But a lot of American bands, a Japanese band, and it's great. And Surfer Joe.
Oh, yeah.
So this is going to be a neat thing, and the pre-sales start Friday, and it'll come out in February.
What's the Bandcamp site that they can find those at?
Okay, it's the Surf Raiders period bandcamp period.com or period com.
Yeah. Awesome. And they can they get any all the physical copies of the ones that came out in 2016 as well?
Yes. Yeah. Besides the downloading, there's the actual disc that they can order and get them from me. So
Are there CDs and vinyl, just CDs, or
well, right now it's the CDs. There's a time problem over in Europe as far as getting vinyl done, but the vinyl will come.
oh great.
And also Green Cookie Records just contacted me and they want to reissue our third album.
Oh, that's awesome.
They want to have our entire catalog.
It must.
So it's been, like I said, it's been quite exciting.
It must feel like when your life work is kind of, I don't know, some kind of vindication that, okay, I've been doing the right thing all along, and you finally have that you find out, oh my God, all these people really were into what I was doing, and it just took a while for you to find out about that.
Right, and all these bands that did the recordings all cite the Surf Raiders as one of their major influences.
Yeah,
hearing our songs and liking the way we played and incorporated in their style, which it made me feel good. There was no strangers to the Surf Raiders, and that's great. I mean, how much more can a person ask for to see the longevity of something he did 40 years ago, keep going and doing well. And I expect
that must be an incredible feeling.
Yeah, because when I know when the CD comes out and we start getting all the tracks to the radio stations, I'm sure we're gonna see a lot of airplay on there. Because you got 18 popular surf bands, each with a different song, they're gonna get played a lot. I'm sure they are. And that's great. Because if I did something for them to help them in their careers and stuff like that, that's great too.
Well, I could totally see from an instrumental guitar standpoint, just the sheer writing and playing on it is just makes me want to go pick up my guitar. It's just one of those kind of things when you hear a band you like or a melody that you like, it makes you want to get up, go pick up your guitar and start noodling around.
Okay, just a second. Get the green folder. It's probably up in the shelf. Sorry, my wife was asking me a question.
Oh, okay.
She was looking for the list of all the bands that are on it.
Oh, okay.
And I could tell you too when she's going to get me the list.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And I can kind of give you an idea because I'm sure you've heard them all. So
yeah. I love the Neptunas.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Neptunas had.
They couldn't do it.
Yeah, they turned me down.
Oh no.
They said that they
recording.
Yeah, they weren't recording. And I asked the Neptunas, they couldn't do it.
Okay, that's.
So there was a bunch of bands like that. Even the Straight Jackets, I tried to get them and they couldn't do it either.
Yeah.
But anyway, here's the band.
Lineup.
Here's the lineup on the Surf Raiders tribute.
Okay.
The El Camino from Japan, Surfer Joe, Messer Chops, Sunnyside 5 from San Francisco, the Wreck Crew, a bunch of musicians in LA who got together and covered the Surf Raider.
Wow.
Right. There's the Supertones, a group called Longboard and Ranch that my bass player Lloyd started after he left the Surf Raiders. And they had remade Swami's Reef, and it was a great version of it. So that's why it's on here. There's a group called the Curl Riders, named after our song, The Curl Rider. There's a popular band that go under the name Albacore as a kind of, so they don't know, everybody don't know who they really are. LA band called Glasgow Tiki Shakers. Orange County, the Fabulous Nomads, Then there's Jim and the Sea Dragons.
Hey,
The
Jim
Breakers.
Colby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Voodoo Surf Tribe, Agent Octopus,
Jim
Colby
Colby.
again. Yeah, the Surf Zombies,
Yep.
Frankie and the Pool Boys,
Friends.
and then the Insect. Yeah.
And
Oh, that's a
And then the
great lineup.
Insect.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's going to be fun. I
All
can
right.
hardly wait to start seeing.
Do you think you're going to do
reviews.
some kind of a record release party for that or something?
Well, being up here in Salt Lake City, Utah, I'd probably just have it for myself.
I don't know if you'd meet up with Jeff in Southern California and maybe set something up.
Well, who knows? You never know what's possible. I mean, if this is possible, the sky's the limit on what can be done.
Yeah.
And I'm just grateful to the people who listen to the music, who request it, who buy the CDs or download. It's just great to know that the music is vibrant, that it worked back then and it works now.
It's great. It was great to get to know you a little bit, and just that knowing that all that hard work and effort you put out there really paid off in a meaningful way.
Yes, very meaningful to me. It just the Neil and Lloyd and the guys that were in the band just can't believe it. They just can't believe I was able to keep us alive and bring us back like I did. So
one question that I'd like to learn just a little bit more about was the writing. Did you collaborate as a band, or were they your songs you brought to the table? How did you kind of write the tunes?
Well, it kind of worked like that. Lloyd had a number of songs that he brought that we practice and work on that he wrote. I wrote the Curl Rider. I had written another song before it that was my really first one, and it was called Bonsai Riptide. And then we did the Curl Rider, and then Neil, the rhythm player, came out with Point Conception that he wrote, which was a really good song too. And then he wound up turning around and slowed it down and called it Point Conception 63. And it's one of our most popular songs. People are always wanting to hear Point Conception 63. And that's how we did it. There was near the end, Lloyd and I would get together and throw stuff back and forth and practice and come up with on our On the Beach album, we came up with Suicide Point and Longboards at San Onofre, just playing around. And when we release the On the Beach album next year, I'm going to include the 2 demos of Suicide Point and Longboards at San Onofre. So
from the cassette,
you can kind of hear. You can kind of hear. It'll be what?
From the cassette.
Yeah, I'll master it and get it on and put it with the other waves.
Wow.
And people will be able to hear the kind of the process of how those songs got together.
That's incredible that you still have that.
Yeah, I know. Some of this stuff I had on cassette tapes, and so I converted them all to digital, started listening to them, and I go, my goodness, I thought all the stuff I had was crap, but it was actually some pretty good stuff there. I mean, I had tapes of us playing at the Whiskey. We got recorded live there, and some of the songs, but most of it turned out really good.
At the Ice House.
We played at the Ice House. We had recordings from the Ice House, and we played the Palomino, which was interesting. We had a group called Mr. Open for us.
I remember them. That's weird.
Yes, it was very weird.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Bob. Man, it was worth waiting all day just to talk to you, because I've been listening to your music and I'm like, like I said, I had to put it down for a little bit because I had to go play guitar once I listened to it.
Ryan,
Hi.
Bob's 8-year-old Bob's 8-year-old grandson wants to know if he could just come say hi to the man on the radio for 1 second.
Oh, of course.
Okay, his name is Robbie. Robbie, come here then, buddy.
I'm trying to groom him to become the next Dalley surf guitarist.
I'm trying to do the same thing with my son.
I had, when my father died, I got an inheritance. And I went and I had the Fender Custom Shop make me a 62 Fender Jaguar with a maple neck, purple with gold hardware. Okay, here he comes. This is.
Hi, Robbie.
See,
It looks
Say
like
hi,
you lost
Robbie.
a couple of
Hi,
teeth
Robbie.
there.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for Christmas.
yeah.
I've already lost 5.
Wait, say that again?
He already lost 5,
Oh my God.
and some have grown back, but he's doing good. He's growing.
My son is 9 years old.
I'm 8.
Did you
I'm
hear what
8.
he said? His son is 9.
I'm 8.
Oh, congratulations. Are you enjoying school?
Yay.
You're in second. Tell him you're taking Spanish also.
I'm taking Spanish Martin.
Already?
Yeah, Spanish as a second language.
Always take your Spanish classes because that's going to be really important when you grow up.
It's gonna be more than taco and enchilada.
Yeah.
What is your son's name, Ryan?
My son's name is Brody.
Brody, that's cute. Huh. We have Bob, Robbie, and Robbie.
Oh, okay. Oh, he's so cute. It was nice to meet you, Robbie.
It's nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you, little guy.
Okay.
Say bye
Bye-bye.
now.
Okay,
Hey.
Bob, I'm going to let you go. But I wanted to thank you so much and congratulations. It seems like there's a lot of great things happening for you and all the hard work you put into it. It just sounds like it's a great time in your life and lots to be thankful for.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Okay, I'm going to let you go and have a good night.
Okay, you too, and I'm looking forward to the finished interviews and everything too, just to see how they go.
Great. Thanks.
All righty.